Hey, everybody. Jeff Cohen here with Mike White from Spike Ball. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jeff. Thanks for having me on here.
For people that don't know you, can you give me a little bit about, just tell me like who you are, what your role is in the company, and if people don't know what Spike Ball is, tell them a little bit about Spike Ball.
Yeah, so as Jeff said, I'm Mike. I work at Spikeball. My title there is Senior E-commerce Manager, and formerly I was the Amazon Business Manager. So, like it says for Spikeball, it means I'm in charge of all stuff e-commerce, our website, uh, Amazon, all of the sites are on there, and emerging markets. Spikeball, if you haven't heard of it, some consider it a yard game, and some consider it a legitimate sport. It's similar to volleyball, where there are three touches and you're trying to put it past your opponent and get it around. But it's been growing. We have a tournament scene, but like I said, it's always just a popular game to play at tailgates, backyard, wherever.
Yeah, and I guess this is a little bit of a side note. We're going to get into a little bit about the brand of Spike Ball because it's a big part of your success. But you came to be an employee at Spike Ball because you actually were an avid user of the product, and I think you either volunteered or you showed up and played in one of the local tournaments, right?
Yeah, I've been working as a full-time employee for almost 3 years, but truthfully, I've been involved in Spike Ball for like 8 years now. I went to tournaments myself when I was in college, and then got more involved in the larger scene and kind of volunteered to do some extra work and to do contract work. And so started doing that. And then of course, when I graduated from college, I had more skills and was able to come on full time and continue my passion for it.
Yeah, and what I think is really cool about Spike Ball is that it's a fairly simple product, right? It's four pieces that connect into a ring with a net and then a few legs. But what you were able to do is create not just a product, but a brand. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the challenges that you've encountered as a brand and like what you've done to overcome them?
Mm-hmm. I think one unique challenge was with COVID, of course, our whole brand is about being outside and playing with people and coming together and having sports. And so with all the shutdowns, we had to rethink what we do, and also kind of a moral standpoint of like, do we keep encouraging people to play? What do we do? And so we kind of went the other route. We had a message from our CEO of don't play together. We put together resources on how to play inside, how to play with your family. And of course, it also turned to be a good time for us because people were interested in playing with their small groups and with their families. We kind of had to transition a little bit, and it was kind of challenging for us because all of our common things were just post videos from tournaments and encourage people to go outside. Our Spikeball app, which we could talk about also, is the full functionality. The purpose of the app is to get people to play together. And so for a whole year and a half, we're like, well, what are we doing with this thing? We don't have our main functionality. So it just kind of became a lot of creativity and trying to switch our product in a way and get people to think about it in a different way.
And what's probably interesting about that, and I guess time will tell, is that you probably opened yourself up to a whole new market. When you start to show how to do this indoors, when you haven't really promoted indoors, or to do this with a family, I guess you got to make sure you don't get the overly aggressive dad that's trying to, spike his little kid too hard, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think things will likely come in the future that came from that because we have different versions. Like we have Spike Buoy to play in water. We came out with Spike Bright to play at night. But I think there will probably be some versions in the future of like, okay, we found that playing inside is actually pretty common and fun. What could we do with that? As well as it leaned us into like different methods to play. Oh, you only have 3 people because it's just you and your brothers. How do you play with that? With
Right.
only 2 people, how do you play with that? And kind of challenge us to think of our product in a different way.
That's awesome. And I think we've seen this theme come up again and again and again, which is that as the market changes, you have to, as a brand, you have to pivot and you have to see what's happening. You have to be able to read the audience. And as the audience is looking for new things, you have to be able to deliver those things to them to continue to remain relevant for yourself. And I think that that's a beauty of what Spike Ball's been able to do. And we're not going to get into the Spike Ball history of everything and kind of how you guys have gotten to where you've gotten. But I would tell you that if you're not familiar with the brand Spike Ball, I would go check it out because it's got a gigantic community around it, of very avid, dedicated fans. And then you've been able to grow that into a whole product line. And so you look at it and it's very simple, and it's just a ring with a net and some legs, but you have customized versions, you have co-branded versions, you have kid versions. That's a little bit of a bigger net with a bigger ball. That's the one I bought my nephews for the holidays last year. And so there is product expansion sometimes when you start to build the community around things. So my second question I have for you is, in terms of marketing strategies, what marketing strategies would you say have worked best for you?
I think what may set us apart from different brands I've seen is that, although of course we do have things that are conversion based, we're almost always about awareness first. We are not likely to be very, very salesy and just push the product in your face. And the reason for that is, well, we know our product is good, or at least I'm confident about it. I can say I've been a fan for a long time. I'm confident in the product. I know people, they could be skeptical, but once they play, they love it. But the thing is, it's just not recognizable right now. And especially if you just see a still image of it, it's just like you said, it's a ring. It looks like a mini trampoline, right? How many times people will come up and want to balance on it because the mini trampoline. So for us, awareness first is just getting it into the eye of people and knowing that, just get it out there. Okay, right? Maybe we push a digital ad in front of them, or a video ad, right? Then the next time they're in the park, they're like, oh, I think I've seen that somewhere. And it may take 10, 20 times for them to recognize it, but eventually they're at a barbecue, their friend has it, and they play and they're hooked. And we don't need to convince them to buy it. If we put it out there enough, they'll eventually come around to it themselves. And we hope they have a great first interaction with it, are less skeptical of it, and just kind of go through with it. So we're just all about let people know what this product is, and when they find their journey to it, they'll be in.
And so I think one of the things that's kind of interesting is that you've had a natural birth of influencer without actually trying to build an influencer program, right? So people do it and they play it and they love it, and they want to take videos and they make up trick shots, and they, are posting these things that are creating a virality around it. And, I guess one of the things that I always hear is this video is going viral. I don't even know. My first question is, what does that mean? How you can't make it go viral, but your product has gone viral because of the community around it, not necessarily because of a direct action that you guys are doing on your social team.
Yeah, so it kind of mixes in between two, because I think the game naturally allows itself to athleticism and fun, that people want to record themselves and they want to find some cool things. And I think for other people that are less aware of Spikeball, they're like, what is this? This looks crazy. But there are some things we do to help kind of set that. One is our top plays every month. We come out with 5 top plays. There actually is $1,000 top prize for the best play. So we're out there encouraging, hey.
So you're encouraging people to video their game, because if they happen to, you want the ESPN, right? The top 10. And if they happen to catch it and submit it, they could win.
Right. Yeah.
How many submissions do you get for that?
I'm not sure, but I think so. The other thing is it's fully integrated with our app. To submit it, you have to post it to our app's feed.
Gotcha.
And people can vote on it and say it's most popular. So I think we'll get, right over the course of the month, hundreds of people posting that. But on top of that, we also have this ambassador program, and people get points and rewards if they get featured on our Instagram. So there's all these kind of systems coming into place. But like you said, the virality actually is true. We've had multiple times where we have a crazy rally, either from a person, some user generated content, or from our own content that we've created, but it'll go viral. And by viral, I mean, they'll post it on it'll be posted on ESPN's Instagram, on House of Highlights. But actually the cooler thing recently is we've grown kind of our following big enough that we can have that viral status on our own. one, thanks to TikTok. We just passed, I think, 1 million followers on TikTok. And the craziest stat is we had 2 videos in a row, 2 posts in a row that both got over 10 million views. And we've yet to find another brand that has come even close to that.
That's
Like,
amazing. And I think actually reminded me of a video I saw on my ESPN feed a day or two ago. It was these 2 guys in the living room. They were playing Keep the Balloon Up. Remember the game where you keep, but they were like, they almost were playing like a spike ball version of it. And I mean, it was the craziest. I'll try to find the link and add it below for anybody that wants to watch it. But those are the types of things that they do. They get the little bump from something else and from somebody else that has a bigger audience. So if I look at your brand today, or if you look at your brand today, where do you see your brand going in 5 years?
This makes me think about where we were 5 years ago, which of course that was before I was at the company, but I was still involved. And at that time, I believe there were the main product that we still sell today, the standard set, and then there was just releasing was the pro set. So at the time, 2 products existed. And so now we don't have way more, but like you said, we have the rookie, we have the standard, we have that, we have new attachments. So I think in just 5 more years, I think Spikeball is going to be way more common of a household name as our sport division keeps growing and as just the general awareness grows. But I think as a brand, I think we're going to continue to just lean into the needs of the customers, right? The rookie set came because we needed one for kids and newer players. The pro set came because the more intense players wanted a new one. We added the spike buoy because people were doing things on our own, and then we build the product to help them do what they want to do. And so I think in 5 years, we're just going to keep learning from our community and just keep implementing on that. And so I think our product line will be bigger, and there will just be all of these new cases we saw from our customers.
Yeah. So you saw somebody probably rigged theirs to work in their pool, and you're like, oh, we can make that. We could make that work. And then you went and kind of productized a customer need to turn it in. And that's what we tell people all the time, right? Read the reviews. What are people complaining about? What are they trying to do with it? How are they using it on social channels? Those are the things you need to do to help build your brand. You also, besides being an avid spikeball player, you're in the e-commerce industry. So in general, where do you see the e-commerce industry going in the next 5 years?
I think what I really like about how we use e-commerce is, of course, our website is for sales, but it's really supposed to be this hub of information about our brand. And I think as these sales channels continue to grow, right, having your website compete with Amazon's traffic, right, unlikely, right? And of course, Amazon's going to get bigger, Walmart's going to grow, and all of these other channels are going to grow. So I think we're going to see those continue to grow, and I'm going to see a bigger focus on controlling your brand via social media and your website, and kind of maybe worry less about that direct to consumer via your website, and more have this be, okay, if someone needs information about my brand, this is where they can get it. This is where we're going to convert people, and then they can buy elsewhere. I think we're going to see more of a split between the purpose of a website and the purpose of these other sellers.
So what's a software or service or process that you're using that you really think saves you time and money in managing your business?
I think one that's actually really helped us this year, especially as we've been a growing company, is to really lean into virtual assistants and other help like that. Because right, myself and through Amazon, right, I'm looking at FBM orders and making sure they're all going out. I'm marking them as shipped. I'm checking our inventory. And truthfully, we just realized that stuff can be outsourced to someone else. And this year, right, in the past, we would have hired new people to do that. And we've learned that, right, if we take 20 to 25% of these residual tasks off of everyone's plate, we can gain so much more time overall. So that's kind of been the biggest thing for us this year, and has been so helpful.
That's awesome. I'm sure you've enjoyed the help yourself, right? Because I know you've been kind of a one man show there.
Right. Yeah. It's actually so I have another a person working with me on the team as well. Our ecom team went from 1 to 2, and then right, of course, adding some of this has really just helped allow me to think about the big picture more. Right, I'm less worried about the day to day of where's our stock, what are we doing, did I mark all the orders as shipped, and it's more about what should we do next month, what's our next quarter plan, what's our plan for the next 2 years.
If I'm building a new product, if I'm building a new brand, what's something that you've learned from Spikeball that you would want to share with me
Mhm.
for somebody who's just getting started?
I think one thing that you just touched upon is like you have a vision of what your product is. However, what really matters is how the customer is using it and kind of why they're using it. What we do at Spikeball is interview our customers a lot. You can learn so much from just a half-hour conversation and really digging into customers can create the story for themselves. I signed up for this because this. However, we focus upon not what they think they bought it for, but what they actually do with it, right? I was at a backyard things with friends. I came home, saw an ad, and logged on and bought it. That's different than I was kind of bored and wanted to buy a set, right? Find out why your customers are using your product and also how they're using your product, and then that'll just set you in a much better situation to like figure out what you need to do and what changes need to be made.
Awesome. I appreciate you coming on today. I just want to recap some of the things that we covered. And I think one of the things that we talk about a lot when we talk about building brands and building products is this idea of customer obsession. And it's clear that you guys are heavily obsessed with the customer and and what they're trying to do. And you've used that to expand your product line and to expand really the sport around your product. And in one of the previous sessions that I recorded, I talked about this in a little bit more detail, which is that for brands to grow, they need to look beyond the brand and into the community. And this is a great example of the idea of the community and not just the brand. And you guys actually took the brand and turned it into a community, which is another meta next level type of activity. Not everybody can do that, and sometimes you can will that as much as you want, but it has to kind of happen a little bit on its own. And I think with Spikeball, that's the big deal, right? Spikeball kind of built a community and then built products out of the community that was
Mhm.
built. And so I think that as you're trying to grow your own brand, think about, again, your customers and what your customers are trying to do. Think about the community that your customers live within and how they're going to use this product within their community, and pivot as that community starts to give you that information. Mike, I want to thank you for coming on and sharing about Spikeball. I always learn something new. I'm going to do this. Caroline always loves when I do this. How about if you hashtag Spikeball and you hashtag Resonate 2021, and you do a post
Mhm.
that talks about something that you learned within here. I'll send you I'll pick a winner. I'm not going to send everyone that does it a Spikeball set, but I'll pick a winner, and we'll buy them a Spikeball set and we'll send it to them. So we'll see if people want to join in some virality around this video and get some publicity around it. So we'll have the notes below as to what you can do to enter, and we'll run that for a little bit after the video initially releases. And go ahead and share. You don't have to share anything about this video. You can share yourself doing Spikeball. You can share something you learned. We'll leave it up to you as to what you want to do. So thank you all for listening today. And thank you, Mike, for joining us.
Thanks, Jeff.